his private jet and flew straight to Peru. He hadn't been back since the crash, but now he saw everything differently. Instead of closure, all he saw were questions. When he arrived at the crash site in the remote Andes, the memories came rushing back: the burned trees, the scattered wreckage, the solemn faces of rescue workers. But this time, Adam wasn't there to grieve. He was there to investigate. He spoke to local police and old rescue team members. Most gave the same tired answers. But one man, a former mountain guide named Mateo, hesitated when Adam showed him Claire's photo. "I remember her," Mateo said slowly. "She looked like a ghost. I saw her near the forest, days after the crash." Adam's heart jumped. "Are you sure?" he asked. Mateo nodded. "She was barefoot, confused. She spoke English. Then she disappeared." That single statement shattered the official story. Back in the capital, Adam pulled every file he could find, hidden deep in government records. He found something no one ever told him. Only 5 bodies were recovered. Claire's was not one of them. The remains were badly burned and unidentifiable. But the crash was declared fatal for all passengers. Everyone believed billionaire Adam Cole's wife died in a private plane crash 5 years ago. The world moved on. So did he, or at least he pretended to. But one cold evening, a strange woman brushed past him in the street and whispered something that stopped his heart. Adam Cole stepped out of the Grand Hotel, the lights from the gala still shining behind him, but his mind already drifting elsewhere. The cold air hit his face as he walked toward his car. Just then, a woman in a long coat brushed past him, her head down, moving quickly through the crowd. As she passed, she whispered, barely loud enough to hear, "She never died in that crash." Adam froze. His body turned slowly, but she was gone, swallowed by the bustling street. For a moment, he stood still, stunned. His heart pounded. He looked around, hoping to spot her face, but it was useless. The words echoed in his head like a siren. She couldn't be talking about Claire, could she? His wife, Claire, had died 5 years ago, in a private jet crash off the coast of Peru. Everyone accepted it. There had been a funeral. He'd spoken at it. But now, doubt crept in like a slow poison. That night, back at his penthouse, Adam sat alone in his study, staring at old photos of Claire. He opened a dusty folder labeled Crash Report and reread the investigation summary for the first time in years. Something nagged at him. The lack of closure. How they never found all the bodies. Claire's was never confirmed. Suddenly, the grief that had lived quietly in a corner of his heart erupted into something new. Suspicion. What if she had survived? What if someone made sure he never found out? The whisper wasn't just strange, it was a spark. And once it was lit, Adam knew he wouldn't be able to stop until he had answers. No matter what it cost. The next morning, Adam Cole boarded Y. The airline had rushed to settle the case. His own company had accepted it without protest. Maybe someone wanted it closed quickly. Adam felt sick. The more he looked, the more he saw a pattern. Not just tragedy, but manipulation. This wasn't just an accident. Claire might have survived, and someone wanted her gone. The whisper wasn't just a warning. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And now, Adam wasn't just grieving, he was hunting the truth. Following Mateo's lead, Adam traveled deep into the jungle, far beyond paved roads and city maps, until he reached a small, forgotten village, tucked between thick trees and mountains. The air felt different there, heavy with silence, as if the town itself was hiding something. The people stared at him with suspicion. Foreigners didn't come here often, and certainly not men in designer shoes asking about a woman who vanished. 5 years ago, Adam showed them Claire's photo, his voice steady but hopeful. Most turned away, shaking their heads. But an old woman, wrinkled and quiet, dropped her basket when she saw the picture. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Luna." That was the name they gave her. A woman who appeared from the forest years ago, barefoot and silent, with eyes full of fear and no memory of her past. She helped in the local clinic, always calm, always kind. "Where is she now?" Adam asked, almost afraid of the answer. The old woman looked down. "Men came," she said. "Foreigners. 2 years ago they took her away in a black van. She didn't fight. She was too scared." Adam's stomach dropped. Claire had survived. She had been alive, and someone found her. But instead of helping, they took her. Why? Who were they? And how did they even know where she was? Everything pointed to something deeper, something dark. Claire wasn't just lost, she had been taken. Adam's jaw tightened. This was no longer just about love or loss. It was about control, secrets, and power. Someone had stolen his wife from her own life. And now, no matter how far he had to go, he would get her back. Adam returned to the city with a fire in his chest and one goal in his mind: find out who had taken Claire. He hired a team of investigators and hackers to dig into every clue, every company, and every name connected to the crash and the mysterious men in black vans. It wasn't long before a disturbing pattern appeared. A private research facility, hidden under the name of a medical charity, had operations near the village. Owned quietly by one of Adam's top competitors in the tech world, a man he once trusted. The facility claimed to provide aid, but nothing about it felt right. With his team's help, Adam hacked into the company's internal system. What he found made his blood run cold. Surveillance footage of Claire, alive, restrained in a sterile room, confused and frightened. The files labeled her as Subject 11, a patient with memory loss who had sensitive knowledge. That's when it hit him. Claire must have known something, maybe a secret from his own company, or a deal she'd overheard. Someone didn't just want her to disappear. They wanted to use her. Adam's heart ached, but he didn't let emotions slow him down. He traced the signatures on the documents and found something even worse. One of the names belonged to his own head of security, a man who had worked by his side for over a decade. Betrayal stung worse than anything else. When confronted, the man confessed. He had been paid to make sure Claire never returned, paid to help stage the crash. Adam's world cracked open, but he wasn't broken. If Claire was still alive, he'd tear the world apart to bring her home. And the people responsible, they were about to find out who they'd messed with. Adam launched a covert operation the very next day. With help from trusted allies and legal leverage, he raided the hidden facility in a remote area outside Lima. The halls were cold, white, and silent. But the moment he stepped inside, he felt her presence. Room by room, they searched until, finally, in a secured wing behind layers of locked doors, he found her. Claire. Her hair was longer, her face thinner, but her eyes, even though dazed, were still hers. She sat on a bed, staring at the wall, unsure if the man standing in front of her was real. "Claire," Adam said softly, his voice breaking. She looked at him, confusion flickering into recognition. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Adam," she whispered. He ran to her and held her like he never wanted to let go. Months followed. Therapy, recovery, and court trials. Claire had suffered from trauma and memory loss, but piece by piece, her mind began to return. She remembered the crash, the pain, the jungle, the fear, and then, the men who took her, those responsible, the corrupt executive, the doctors, the betrayer in Adam's own team, were all exposed and brought to justice. Their empire fell under the weight of truth. But Adam didn't care for revenge anymore. He had what he thought was lost forever: his wife, alive. Together, they walked away from the noise, from the spotlight, from the chaos of the past. They bought a quiet home by the sea, where Claire could heal and Adam could breathe again. Sometimes, they would sit on the porch, holding hands, watching the waves, and say nothing at all, because after everything, words weren't always needed. Love had brought her back, and now, it would never let her go again. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video. Tell us your thoughts or theories in the comments below. Share this with friends who love emotional mystery stories. And don't miss out. Subscribe for more powerful tales. This is our ancestors' dreams, where stories come alive.